Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another session of Creatives for the BIF 2021 season. I'm speaking to Yannis Thavoris, who is the designer of our Donizetti Viva la Diva, which he designed for the Salzburg State Theatre and which Adrian Kelly conducted with director Stephen Metcalf, who is well known to many Buxton festivites. So Yannis, very warm welcome. From
Hello.
Greece. Tell us where you are at the moment and how are you coping with lockdown?
I've been stranded in my hometown since August. I took the opportunity to come and spend some time with my parents and brother, and my friends, of course.
Wonderful. And the city in Greece that you are living in at the moment?
It's Thessaloniki. It's the second largest city after Athens. It's where I grew up and where I studied architecture all those years ago.
So studying architecture and then moving into becoming a set and costume designer, how did you make that leap? What's the story behind that?
Well, I've always loved theatre and I've always loved music. Because and when I had to, when I finished my architecture studies and I had the chance to take a postgraduate course, I chose scenography, set design, and I was lucky enough when I graduated from that to be given the opportunity to go into the world of opera. So, and that was largely thanks to the Limbury Prize for stage design, which I won in 1997, which included a commission to design La Fille du Régiment, the daughter of the regiment, for English touring opera, and then things took off from there.
Fantastic. Well, we are so excited to have Viva la Diva at Buxton next year. And just tell us a little bit about when you approached this piece, which is quite unusual because unlike La Fille du Régiment, which is existing, there it is, it's a piece that you can look at. There are other models of it before. This piece was a bit different in terms of being something that is in pristine order, would you say? How did you go about, first of all, understanding what the piece is about?
Well, the main sort of story and framework of the piece is really quite simple, is putting together an opera and seeing how the singers and creatives behave badly during the creation,
which never happens, of course. So
it never happens. Fiction. It's all imaginary. So the piece doesn't have, the original Donizetti version. It wasn't exactly what we were going to do. So we with Stephen Metcalf, the director, and the dramaturg and translator of the piece in Salzburg, we had the challenge to create a new structure, and I was involved in that, long discussions. So that was a bit of a challenge, which meant that we didn't have a precise text to dissect, but we had to keep it quite free, the design part of it, to receive whatever the final version was going to be.
That's really interesting. So you were involved in the actual structural construction of the piece before you went to the design phase. Is that correct?
At the same time, we were having talks with Stephen as to how best to make it work. Yeah, I wasn't. I was there while it was happening.
And I came and saw it in Salzburg, and I was really impressed with the fun nature of it all, and also the rather satirical nature of it all. I don't know the intrigues within Salzburg, but I suspect that there were quite a lot of in-jokes in terms of making some fun of the Salzburg festival itself. Yes.
Well, of course, it's a piece that needs topicality. So there were jokes that referred to other areas, other small cities towns near Salzburg. one of the singers is a favorite in the Landestheater, so we played a little bit with that, making him sort of a vulnerable singer who couldn't really sing until he actually could sing beautifully. So all sorts of, there were sort of topical references for the Salzburg audience, which I hope we can carry forward when we bring it to Buxton.
Yes, that is in fact the plan. We have commissioned Kit Hesketh-Harvey, who's quite a well-known writer, comedian, and stage personality, to do a news text completely and look at a provincial opera company in England mounting this opera seria. And he, I'm sure, will have lots of fun in looking at provincial England, the art scene here in England, etc.
A little fun fact is that Kit was the translator of The Daughter of the Regiment that I did as my first opera, which rehearsed in Alford House.
Oh my goodness. Let's talk about Alford House. It's not Awful House, it's Alford.
No.
Now, so for those of you who don't know, that we rehearse most of the Buxton Festival operas in a rehearsal venue in London called Alford House. And it is, how would you describe that venue, which is shared by Grange Opera, and what's the other opera company that's also there?
There have been several operas there. There was a time when I worked there, it was the English Touring Opera.
Yes,
I'm not sure they rehearse there anymore.
Opera rehearse there, Grange Opera rehearse there, and sometimes we are rehearsing at the same time. So we have these different productions that are using the rooms. But Yannis, how would you describe that venue?
It's like a community center with many various rooms or halls. Of each one has their own character. I find it very charming. And I always have enjoyed being part of rehearsals taking place there. And
that was your inspiration for Act One of Viva la Diva, right?
Well, you know, we talked about it with Stephen a lot, and we weren't sure. First of all, we weren't initially sure whether it should be completely modern. We thought, oh, is it rehearsals in the 1950s, or what do we do? And then when we decided it was going to be contemporary, for a while we thought, should it be a sterile, state-of-the-art rehearsal room like the ones that they have in Salzburg, or should we give something a little bit more characterful and twee? And we decided, you know, both of us had worked many times in Alford House, and we thought, yeah, why not? Let's base it on Alford House.
And I think that it's also it is a kind of a stereotype with regards to rehearsal venues around the UK.
It's quite,
which it actually just pings rather well, because when I was sat in the audience and then the curtain went up, I was like, oh my God, that is Alford House. And I didn't even know that was like the original idea. So that was lovely to see. And I think it gives an insight into behind the scenes, which is essentially what the opera is about, because then you had the wonderful opportunity of then the second half of the piece actually creating an opera seria set. Yes.
So another conscious decision we made with Stephen was to not keep the whole opera in the rehearsal room, which we could have done, but after the interval we thought would give the audience a chance to see what happens during the stage rehearsals, when the set is there and the costumes are there and the wigs are there, and the actual, let's call it, magic of putting a show together takes place. And that gave us a chance to be a little bit more playful with the set. The set, as you say, is meant to be of an opera seria based on the rape of the Sabine women, Roman theme. And we wanted to kind of take it seriously. We didn't want to send it up completely. We wanted it to be a concept set. The plot takes place in the Temple of Jupiter, so that gave us the chance to, instead of creating a Roman temple, we put on stage. Should I give it away?
I was just about to say,
maybe not.
We shouldn't give it away. No.
maybe not. So but what we didn't want to do was to send it up from the beginning, make something that looks ridiculous. We wanted something that could actually look quite classy, hopefully, but still, create tensions between the intendant of the theatre and the stage director and the performers and the sponsors of the opera. So yeah.
I loved the vodka bottle that was a rocket that took off in the middle of the second act, which was a nod to the oligarchy that supports the Salzburg Festival. So I wonder what will come in its place here in the UK. But just tell us a little bit about your process. When you get the opera brief, do you present an idea to Stephen, or is it something that you talk about to begin with and then you go away? And tell us a little bit about your process.
We talk a lot. It's a lot of talking before any visuals start to emerge, and then we share references. Did you see this particular photo of somebody, a 1950s rehearsal, or did you see that film or this? So there's a lot of exchange of visual references before we even start designing, and then bit by bit, as the song goes, we put it together. And that's the joy of it.
And then the realization when it comes to the stage and the building of it, you have a hand in going to the workshops and overseeing the build?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had to make a few journeys to Salzburg during the process. Their workshops are fantastic, and they managed to realize the designs beautifully.
And costumes as well. You designed the costumes as well.
Exactly. So again, we tried to play a little bit with the stereotypes of the various singers. We had a multinational cast in Salzburg, which I think we might end up having in Buxton. So we played a little bit with, I wouldn't call them stereotypes, but the types.
The types, yeah.
Various nationalities and voice types as well. So the soprano with a particular temperament, the tenor being a typical tenor, the mezzo doing her mezzo things. We tried to create costumes that brought forward, made them a little bit larger than life in the first half, and then in the second half. It was all a Roman extravaganza, so we wanted to mix, the Roman references with a bit of fashion, contemporary fashion, and another added reference was Fellini's Satyricon, a Roman-based film, which inspired the wigs.
And just talk to me a little bit about the experience of once the show has opened and the audience is sitting there. Do you get nervous on opening night? Is it something that you take to heart?
It's a mix of being nervous and numb. So yeah, of course you want the audience to have a good reaction, whether it's to laugh or cry, depending on what you're doing. It's all manufacturing emotions really and thoughts.
Yeah. And you're confident that this will fit into the Buxton Opera House stage, yes?
Well, when we were designing it, the possibility had already was already on the card. So we consciously created a set based on the Buxton stage, the particular, the rake of the Buxton stage. So that was a parameter for the Salzburg design, and we hope that it will fit like a glove.
Well, what is interesting is that we are going to be offering a talk as part of the Salzburg experience at the festival. One of our friends is knowledgeable about Frank Matcham's theatre design, and also Helmer and Kelmer, which are the architects who built the Salzburg State Theatre. And they were, in fact, rivals and contemporaries of each other.
You see, that I didn't know.
You see, I also didn't know this until recently. And they were constantly vying with each other with regards to building houses, opera houses, and they were checking in on each other, so they knew about matching. And so these two venues are in their dimensions are quite similar in terms of
They are indeed.
capacity, in terms of the stage. Look, Salzburg has got a huge revolve and it's been mechanized, and Buxton hasn't got
that. Is true.
The dimensions are very similar, so that's really good for us, actually. So what is your next project that you're busy working on, Yannis?
Do you want me to cry now or later?
I'm sorry, was that an awful question?
Well, there is a possibility that I might be doing something in the autumn of 21, but nothing's been fixed yet. And yes, trying to keep our spirits and not be completely disheartened with a horrible situation that we're all facing at the moment.
Okay, well, that's why we wanted to talk to you, to let you know that we're very excited to take delivery of the set that's arriving in 2 containers, and it'll be here by the 14th of November, before Brexit takes place. And we're very happy that it's going to be sitting in the Longcliffe quarries. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the costumes out and we're going to store them elsewhere. But we will keep the set all ready for you for next year. And let's hope that things will have changed by July, and you will be visiting the Bonnie Buxton.
I'm looking forward to it.
To come and see the premiere, the UK premiere of your production here in the UK. So that's something to look forward to.
Indeed.
Great, Yannis. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's really been great to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing you in Buxton next year.
Thank you very much.